Welcome back to another TSW2 video. Today we're going to be checking out the new article that was released yesterday called On the Way to St. Ives, and is on the West Cornwall Local Route developed by Rivet Games. Before we get into the video, I'm going to ask all of you to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you would like to support me even further, consider becoming a channel member with the link in the description or by clicking the blue join button down below. Let's get into it. Starting off, we have a picture of the class 150/2. I believe it's pulling into or out of the St. Ives station. We can see a little bit of the beach over here in the background with a couple of buildings and stuff. One thing I noticed about the beach is the sand looks a little too dark. It looks like mud instead of sand. Now this is a work in progress shot, so it could be changed later on down the line, but as we know, a lot of stuff that is work in progress with TSW, it doesn't get changed from first screenshots to release, so it does worry me a bit. I've seen a picture of this on the forums compared to in the game, and it looks drastically different. You know, this is a key part of the scenery. This is something you'll be seeing while driving the train, coming in to the station, looking to the right or whatever. You'll see this, you know, and for people who's familiar with the area, or for people who just know how it looks in real life, you know, it can look a little jarring to see the sand that different of a color. You know, it can be a little distracting while you're driving the train, make you crash into the little bumper block at the end of the platform. But moving on, we have get ready to step back into the 90s as West Cornwall Local Penzance to St. Austell and St. Ives route by Rivet Games is coming to TSW2. We catch up with Rivet Games to discuss what players can expect from this picturesque West Country route. And we have basically like a Q&A with some of the Rivet developers. So starting with Kaya. Hi, I'm Kaya and I am a route builder here at Rivet Games. I've worked for Rivet for just over a year now and previously worked on the Isle of Wight, Arosa line, and Cathcart Circle line. So that's a good sign, you know, they're bringing in people who worked on the Cathcart Circle line, as we know that Rivet did contribute a bit to the creation of the line. I believe it was some of the stations that they contributed with, and the stations were well detailed, so I definitely have a little more faith in them, and what they can showcase off with this new route. And we have hi, I'm Matt, a vehicle artist for Rivet Games, and I work on creating a lot of the vehicles you play today, including the new 150/2 Sprinter unit in West Cornwall Local. And here we have a 150 crossing. I believe this is, I don't know what the name of it is, but it looks like it's crossing a viaduct here. Some nice looking trees. But I do like the way the class 150 looks. I like the regional railways livery on it. Looks well detailed. Could use a little bit more weathering along the sides of it, showing its age, but whatever. Moving on, why did you pick this route to make for TSW? We chose this route for its picturesque scenery and the gameplay opportunities it offered. The route features gorgeous coastal views when you leave Penzance before you see dense fields, bustling towns, and industrious areas further along the line towards St. Austell. We also have the St. Ives branch, which is a beautiful little town and very popular for tourists. What rolling stock can the player look forward to? West Cornwall Local is releasing with the 150/2, the 37/5, and 2 wagons. The wagons are the Turbot and the Sea Cow. Both locos will offer a lot of options for driving the Penzance route. The 150 is an all-new train to Train Sim World 2, and the class 37/5 has been updated visually for the route, plus this version can now be reskinned in the livery designer. So that's some good news for the people who like the livery designer in the class 37. You can now reskin the 37/5 in the livery designer, so that should be cool. And we have the all-new class 150, which the body shell reminds me a lot of the class 314 featured on the Cathcart Circle line route, which you can see the cab door right here and the 2 doors behind it. The side body does look very similar to what we saw on the class 314s. So I wonder if the cab will be a bit of the same. I don't know much about the 150's cab or anything, but I wonder if it will be a bit of the same of what we've already experienced with the Cathcart Circle route. Moving on, how did you start the build process for the new 150? We gathered a lot of reference, including drawings and photographs, of which some of these were actually provided to us by someone who drove the Class 150s. So that's good. They're getting some reference material from some operators on the Class 150s. So that's a very good thing. Hopefully it'll be accurately modeled and detailed. On top of this, we also use surveys which we're taking from different periods, as this is a train we have been thinking of making for a while. The surveys would include seeing the train in the yard and at platforms where we can get some form of basic audio. So with all of these references in hand, we would then start to model the vehicle, making sure we pay close attention to them. We also received some feedback from drivers when it came to how the 150 operated, which was very helpful in the building process. So it's good that they're getting real life train operators who operated the Class 150 in their career to explain how it operates, how it moves, the acceleration, braking, and all of that, and basically like cab sway and all that, so they can authentically recreate the train and make it as realistic as possible for the player. I really like that. I really like that Rivet is starting to get more in touch with these operators and these companies and stuff to start really accurately recreating these routes, you know. Hopefully they could get to a level that DTG is at in terms of route quality and creation, and hopefully in future they can surpass DTG, you know, take over kind of as the main creator for TSW, although that doesn't seem like it'll happen. But here we have a 150 going over a railroad crossing here. Hopefully they do have animated crossings. Railroad crossing does look nice here. I don't really have any issues with these pictures besides the first one. You know, railroad crossing looks nice. Trains crossing over it. Ain't nothing much to see there. We're just going to move on. What sort of gameplay can the player expect from this route? The route offers a lot of variety of playstyles for all fans. An example is you can have a nice relaxing drive similar to the Isle of Wight along the St. Ives branch. If you want something with a little more speed, you can drive the main line from Penzance to St. Austell or take on some challenging freight services. We have also included some additional gameplay aspects for the player to look forward to, such as refueling and carriage washers. So it's nice to see a variety of services in here, such as refueling some of the cars and washing them. It does seem like they're trying to add a bit more variety and diversity in terms of the number of services that we're going to get, because I assume that we're not going to get too many services with the route, you know. It's probably a reduced timetable considering that is from the past, you know. Trains probably won't run too frequently along the line, so it is nice that we're seeing services increased in other aspects like the freight aspects of the route. What research was required to build this route? Modern day survey pictures were taken along this route, but since we are setting this route back in the 90s, we had to use a lot of old reference images, video footage, historical view in Google Earth, and track data. It was important that we knew what existed along the line at that time, so anything we placed wasn't out of the ordinary or didn't fit the era. Now, out of the ordinary, we can already mention that first picture where they showed the beach and some of the scenery in the back. However, it does look like a lot of the stuff that they're showing in these pictures fits the era of the 90s whenever they're trying to set it in the 90s. The trains do look a bit too clean and not weathered and detailed enough, but that could be changed later on down the line. What have you enjoyed most about creating this route? Although it did present some challenges, I really enjoyed looking through all the old reference material. The 90s still feels so close, but it's actually over 20 years ago, and it surprises me how much has changed since then. I've loved looking at the references and seeing how the countryside has changed and grown over time. Stations becoming more modern, and generally just enjoyed putting this route together. And I assume this is one of the terminal stations, possibly St. Austell or Penzance. I'm not completely sure though. but we have some class 150s stationed here. And one thing that interests me is we don't see any other locos here. We know that includes only the class 150 and 37. However, I wonder if there were other pieces of rolling stock that ran along this part of the line at the time. I remember some people mentioning the class 101, the class 166 running here in the 90s when they were first constructed, and the class 43 running some fast services along the line. And we just don't see that in these screenshots or anything. And it makes me wonder if we're gonna see any layering along this route or not. Because layering would definitely add a bit of diversity instead of just seeing 150s all the time. I just hope the route doesn't feel too bland with such a low variety of rolling stock. Moving on though, what is your favorite location along the route? That's a really tough question. The team have worked really hard in making every location look and feel authentic, but if I was to choose personally, it would be St. Ives. You have a really pleasant view of the sea, and one of my colleagues has sculpted rocks that really look good and elevate the scenery around the coastline. As you drive along the branch line, there are little pockets of wildflowers, gardens to nosy in, and beaches that really put you in the holiday mood. Now, we have a picture here of the coastline with all of the rocks and stuff. They do look relatively well modeled. I do like the way they look. The scenery back here though, I guess it's alright. It does look a bit weird the way the ground is shaped and all of that, but other than that, it does look nice. We see the class 150 poking out behind the tree. It's not too bad here. I really like it. It seems like a lot of thought, detail. They really put a lot of thought into where they was putting different things and constructing things, and I really do like that. I hope the route comes out well detailed and well modeled and doesn't turn out like the previous two routes, Isle of Wight and Rosaline. And finally, this route is renowned for being one of the most picturesque train rides in the UK. How did you approach building the scenery? We had a lot of reference material from past to present. We always discussed in meetings how we wanted the overall look and feel of the route to be. We used Google Earth a lot, and we would pin key locations and timestamp them in videos, so everyone was working to the same goal. We took care when making the locations along the route, and our artists have modeled iconic buildings such as signal huts, old engine sheds, and you can even catch a glimpse of St. Michael's Mount along the Penzance shorefront. The artists also created 90s style assets for the stations, such as concrete lampposts and luggage trolleys. So it's nice seeing that they've created custom assets for this route instead of just reusing the modern day ones from other routes like Southeastern High Speed, Cathcart Circle, and East Coastway. It's nice to see that they are including some new assets and carefully constructing these to make it feel authentic to the time. I really do enjoy that, and hopefully it'll give the route its own unique feel instead of just feeling like another British route, you know what I mean? I definitely am interested in seeing how the route feels and how it looks and how it plays though. But one thing that keeps getting me though is the class 150. I really want to see more dust and weathering along it. But the final paragraph, what's been changed for the water in TSW for this route? Taking advantage of next gen, that's one thing that you really need to pay attention to here. Next gen. Probably won't be for the last gen consoles, and it'll probably just be for PCs, high-end PCs, and next gen consoles. Continuing. We've actually made a few changes in West Cornwall to enhance the water and make it appear more realistic. We have worked on blending the waves together so it doesn't look as tiled, added foam to the beach edges, and we altered the specularity or visual appearance of specular reflections settings so that it handles reflections in a more realistic way, and now reflects the sun and moon a lot better, and combined with the foaming edges, it gives off a much better impression of the sea. What surprises me this most about this paragraph right here is, it's only along West Cornwall Local. I would have expected this to be a core update where they just generally improve the quality that the water is, you know, the quality of the water across all routes, you know. I wouldn't have expected it to be a Rivet only thing. So that is a bit surprising to me. How it's only exclusive to next gen, that kind of makes sense, but it's nice to see Rivet taking advantage of the next gen consoles instead of just giving it the same old features as the last gen consoles. And that's coming from someone with a last gen console. I don't own a PS5 yet. I still own the PS4. So it is nice coming from me. It is nice to see them taking advantage of the higher spec and the more graphically, I guess, stable and I don't know what the word is, appropriate consoles, I guess. You know, the consoles can handle various upgrades to the graphics, the visuals, and all of that. So it's nice to see them taking advantage of that. But that's the end of this article. I'm really excited to see what they have in store for us with this new route, you know. I'm excited to operate the class 150. I'll probably be picking this up on release. And yeah, that's about it. If you enjoyed the video, if you enjoyed the article, you're interested in West Cornwall Local, like the video. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. And if you'd like to support me even further, consider becoming a channel member with the link in the description or by clicking the blue join button below. Until next time, peace.